Bulldozers are widely used for fire suppression and related activities. To establish fire control lines, clear fire breaks, prepare access tracks, construct helipads, and assist with mop-up and rehabilitation. Most of this work occurs around the perimeter of the fire and is known as dry firefighting because very little water is used. While this training material deals with the operation of bulldozers on the fire ground, many of the requirements are relevant to other machines, such as excavators, skidders, graders, bobcats, front-end loaders, and tractors fitted with ploughs, blades or rollers. All personnel and machinery at a fire are managed under a standard organisational structure known as the Incident Control System, or ICS. Under the ICS structure, all decisions are implemented through the chain of command. Decisions on strategy and tactics and deployment of resources to control a fire are communicated from the incident controller through the operations officer to division commanders and sector commanders, if appointed, and finally to crew leaders and operators on the fire ground. At large fires, a person would assist the operations officer to deploy the machinery resources available. To avoid confusion, all machines and vehicles are given identification names or numbers. From the fire ground, information about the fire situation and progress of the attack is passed up through the chain of command to the incident controller. This information is used to monitor the plan and progress of the attack and is vital to the control of the incident. An operator has a nominated supervisor to improve safety and efficiency. The supervisor also provides a communication link back into the ICS structure. The operator must report to and accept instructions only from that supervisor. Whilst adhering to the ICS command structure may appear unwieldy, it ensures that the operator's work fits into the overall plan to control the fire. Instructions come from just one supervisor. The work is monitored to stay in touch with the strategy and tactics, and safety is not compromised. The incident controller, along with the ICS team, determines the strategy to fight a wildfire and monitors the situation. Bulldozers and other machinery, together with ground crews and support vehicles, are deployed to the fire ground to implement the strategy. The strategy may involve direct, parallel or indirect methods of attack. All three methods of the attack may be applied at different parts of a fire. Direct attack is used at small fires with flame heights up to 2 metres. At these low-intensity fires, the fire control line is constructed as close to the fire as possible. Direct attack may also be used to control sections of larger fires, particularly at the rear or flanks of the fire. A parallel attack is used when flame heights are up to 3 metres or where the fire edge is irregular or access is difficult. The fire control line is constructed within sight of the fire edge, but far enough from the heat and smoke to allow the crews to work comfortably. The fire is allowed to burn up to the fire control line, and any remaining unburnt sections are carefully lit in a follow-up operation called burning out. An indirect attack involves establishing a fire control line some distance from the fire edge, and then, when conditions are favourable, burning the fuel on the fire side to widen the control line. This operation is known as backburning. The backburn around the perimeter must be wide enough to capture all of the spotting activity of the wildfire. Subsequently, all unburnt fuel between the backburn and the wildfire is burnt out. Backburning is a viable option if there is sufficient time for the resources to complete the required preparation and establish the burnt edge to a depth sufficient to stop the spread of the main fire. Under conditions where a direct attack is likely to fail, a backburn may be too difficult to control. A failed backburn always makes the situation worse and may jeopardise safety. Consequently, a backburn can only be authorised by the incident controller and must be undertaken by experienced firefighters. In summary, all fire personnel work within the ICS structure. This structure provides a chain of command from the incident controller to the fire ground. The machinery operator takes instruction only from their designated supervisor. All decisions regarding the control strategy must be approved by the incident controller. 3 strategies are used to attack a fire: direct attack, parallel attack, or indirect attack, or a combination of these. The chain of command ensures that you know who to report to, what the control strategy is, and your task at the fire. The objective of using a bulldozer is to create a fire control line that will halt the spread of the fire. It does this faster and more effectively than a hand trail crew. For a safe working environment, the supervisor determines the width and alignment of the line after considering the amount of fuel, the terrain, fire behaviour, and the type of machine. Fire control lines constructed by bulldozers must include a continuous strip cleared to mineral earth or bare earth to stop the fire. This means the removal of larger obstacles, followed by clearing the shrub and litter layer. Any fuel remaining across the fire control line will allow the fire to escape. The operator, where possible, uses a scalping technique to minimise soil disturbance. A skilled operator will achieve this in a single pass. Avoid placing the line across gullies or swampy areas and keep stream crossings to a minimum. Construction follows a number of important basic principles. The line is started from an existing road or other suitable barrier to prevent the fire from outflanking you. This is known as an anchor point. Keep the alignment as straight as possible to give better access to support crews and longer sighting distances. Where bends are necessary, construct longer or wider curves. For direct or parallel attack, fire control lines are constructed as close to the fire as possible to reduce both the burnt area and the chance of a fire escaping. Take care not to carry any burning material to the unburnt side of the fire control line. Unburnt debris is pushed away from the fire edge. However, burning material on or across the fire control line is always pushed into the fire. As the burning material is mixed with soil, it requires additional attention during mop-up and patrol. Logs and trees are cleared at right angles to the line to allow for vehicular access in case of spot over. Avoid the formation of continuous windrows of earth and logs, as these will restrict access. In dense forest or in preparation for a backburn, the supervisor determines the part of the fire control line that needs to be widened. The shrub layer and problem dry trees next to the fire control line are then cleared. Problem dry trees are dead or dying trees on the fire side of the fire control line that are likely to fall across it. Larger dry trees near the fire control line are swept clean around the base to reduce the chance of the tree igniting and falling. Isolating large dry trees in this manner is faster and safer than pushing them. Fire control lines take advantage of low fuel areas, such as exposed rock, clearings and recently burnt areas. If possible, avoid situations that increase the likelihood of spot overs, such as areas of high fuel loads, dry or hollow trees, and trees with lots of bark. Fire control lines that are safe for bulldozers may be too steep or have excessive cross slopes for other vehicles. The supervisor will determine the standard of construction for vehicle access or the restriction of such access.
Give you an idea, okay? Here we are about here.
The line must be wide enough and have adequate vertical clearance for the largest vehicle. Remove overhanging broken branches from tracks. Using chains, it is possible to remove such an obstruction without the need to fall the tree. Passing bays and turnarounds must only be constructed where the side slopes, gradient and surface conditions are safe. They are spaced as frequently as the supervisor directs. Passing bays are sometimes required in heavy undergrowth or dense forest to allow vehicles to pass each other safely. Turnarounds must be large enough for vehicles to make a three-point turn without making contact with trees or shrubs. All obstacles are removed, but it is not necessary to clear the turnaround to mineral earth. Helipads and staging areas are not constructed very often. Where possible, clearings and grassy areas are chosen. Trees are felled when necessary by a chainsaw operator and a small area scalped by the dozer. Trees that may cause spot overs or are a hazard to firefighters must be identified. Some of these are pushed over during line construction or mop-up if it is safe to do so. The size of the tree that can be pushed will depend on the power and configuration of the dozer. Tree pushing is potentially a dangerous task. The trunk or limbs may be rotten, weakened by fire or burning, and could fall at any time. The decision to push a tree is made by the supervisor and operator from a safe distance after all other options have been considered. These options include relocating the fire control line or clearing around the tree. Small trees can be easily pushed using a conventional bulldozer. Raise the blade to push the tree. As it tilts, reverse away from the falling tree. When it's safe, drop the blade behind the roots and push forward, lifting the blade to uproot and completely tip the tree. Larger trees are pushed using dozers fitted with pushing arms. This operation takes time. Once the tree is on the ground, it has to be pushed clear of the fire control line. Before pushing the tree, check it for overhead hazards such as widowmakers, dead limbs, wasps or bees, and if it is safe, cautiously inspect the trunk for defects. Trees partly burnt may be pushed if the trunk has an obvious lean and sufficient sound wood. Trees that are significantly burnt through are too weak and too dangerous to be pushed or to work near. The fire control line is relocated well clear of dangerous trees and the area burnt out. When initial attempts to push the tree are unsuccessful, rip around the tree to loosen the roots. Do not attempt to rock the tree to loosen it, and do not charge the tree. Before pushing the tree, determine the direction of fall to avoid a hang-up or the domino effect of knocking down other trees. Avoid pushing trees on steep slopes. Identify an escape path away from the direction of fall. This allows the machine to quickly move away from the base of the tree to safety. Confirm that people, machines and vehicles are not downslope, and the clearance in all directions is at least twice tree height. Once larger trees begin to tilt, the momentum or weight of the crown causes the tree to fall over. The short time this takes is the most dangerous period. Closely watch the trunk or crown to note when the momentum of the fall has commenced. Quickly reverse along the escape path to avoid the possibility of falling or rolling debris or getting hung up on large roots. In summary, fire control lines must include a strip cleared to mineral earth. Fire control lines must be wide enough, have good overhead clearance and be as straight as possible. The slope of a fire control line must be safe where access for vehicles is required. Construct turnarounds and passing bays for use by the largest vehicle on the line. Take care of the environment, minimise stream crossings, avoid swampy areas and gullies. Include low fuel areas, burnt and cleared areas in your control line. Assess the danger and the need to push problem dry trees and clear the area of people and vehicles. Small trees can be tilted first, then pushed. When pushing large trees, don't rock the tree. Work around the base to loosen roots. The fire control line constructed must meet safety and operational needs. The risks associated with machinery on the fire ground are minimised when bulldozers are fitted with falling object protection type canopies and rollover protection systems. The machine is regularly serviced and in good working order. Equipment such as winches and audible alarms are operational. Fire extinguishers are regularly checked and in a serviceable condition. Dozers are fitted with lights to operate after dark or in poor visibility. The risks to the operator and other personnel are minimised when they are trained to use that equipment to national or agency standards. Wear approved high visibility fire clothing, helmet and boots on the fire ground. Use hearing protection when working near running machinery and wear a seatbelt. Other personal protective items include approved smoke goggles and gloves, disposable dust masks, impact-resistant sunglasses, SPF 30+ sunscreen and insect repellent. Carry an approved fire blanket to provide personal protection against radiant heat, and if operations go through the night, a torch and a woolen jumper are necessary. Every person must recognise the risks on the fire ground, including the risk from radiant heat and fatigue. Everyone must also understand the safety watch-outs and look out for each other. In all fire operations, safety is the highest priority. A person must never approach a machine until the operator signals that their presence is noted. Passengers are never permitted on a bulldozer. When an operator dismounts from a machine, they must lower the blade and other attachments and set the brakes. Dismounting from a moving machine is reckless. Regularly remove branches and leaves that get trapped behind guards to prevent damage and the risk of fire. Operators should be alert and on the lookout for other firefighters and any members of the public who may be on the fire line. Ground crews are particularly vulnerable when working around machinery and vehicles. For all personnel to remain safe, vehicles must be well lit. Ground crews must maintain a safe distance from machinery and keep in radio contact with operators and drivers. After dark, firefighters must use torches to indicate their position. Fatigue can cause accidents. So that safety is not compromised, plan to have a fresh operator available and don't allow a fatigued operator to drive. Driving through fire and dense smoke is extremely hazardous and must only be attempted as a last resort. Advise your supervisor before attempting it. Remove flammable material, switch on lights, close all windows and vents, and drive at a safe speed. These are essential occupational and safety issues, whether working in open country or a forest. In open country, the main hazards are obstacles and the speed of the vehicle, particularly when combined with reduced visibility due to dust and smoke. Firefighters and vehicles must keep well clear and travel slowly to avoid collisions or rollovers. In a forest, a safe distance between ground crews and machinery is at least twice tree height. In hilly terrain, machinery must work downslope of firefighters and vehicles because of the risk of rolling or sliding material. In certain situations, or for tactical reasons, it may be more efficient for the dozer to begin line construction on top of a ridge. This would only occur where there is no imminent danger from a fire moving quickly up the slope and crews are kept away from the danger zone below the dozer. Where bulldozers are working in steep or difficult terrain, teaming them in pairs in a buddy system provides support in case one requires assistance. Irrespective of your task at the fire, continually monitor the progress and behaviour of the fire in your vicinity. If at any stage you consider it is becoming unsafe, Immediately inform your supervisor about the threat and move to a safer location. In a burnover situation, keep calm. Stop on clear ground away from dense vegetation. You must take refuge from radiant heat or you will die. Clear the ground around you. Dig a trench, pushing the mound towards the fire. Park the dozer over the trench and lower the blade and rippers. Discard your goggles and face mask, but keep your helmet on. Raise the collar, roll sleeves down and put on leather gloves. Use your dry fire blanket to cover yourself and get down low in the trench behind the dozer blade and between the tracks. Breathe through your mouth. If the air gets hot, short, shallow breaths are best, and stay under the vehicle until the fire passes. Dozers and tankers working together can provide mutual support. Dozers can clear the ground to mineral earth, while the tanker can provide an envelope of water or foam. At many fires, machines must be parked for extended periods. The main issues are the potential damage due to embers, direct flame contact, falling objects and collision with other vehicles. Park according to the operator's manual, facing it towards a known safe exit. Park in a cleared or previously burnt area well away from trees. If it is not possible to park away from trees, check that surrounding trees have sound trunks and no dead branches. Leave adequate room for other vehicles to pass. Close vents, windows and doors. If the machine has been working near the fire, check for burning material and damage. Lock any vulnerable parts of the machine. Refuel the machine. Inform the supervisor of any faults and where you stored the keys. Faults are recorded on a tag and attached to the door to alert other operators. In summary, machinery must be in good condition and comply with safety requirements. Operators must be appropriately trained and use the approved personal protective equipment. Dozers must maintain a safe distance from people and vehicles. Continually monitor any fire in your vicinity and move to a safe location if threatened. Park clear of flammable vegetation and overhead hazards. Prepare the machine for the next shift and inform the supervisor where the keys are located. In all fire operations, firefighter safety comes first. The objective of mop-up is to rapidly and thoroughly control the fire by extinguishing all burning material near the edge of the fire control line that may cause an escape. Mop-up can begin once the fire or part of it has been contained and has cooled down sufficiently for firefighters and machinery to work inside the burnt area. The work is done in stages, commencing on the fire control line and moving progressively into the burnt area. The minimum standards for mop-up are for all burning material on the ground within 20 metres of the fire control line to be completely extinguished. Above the ground, all burning trees which could cause an escape by spotting over the fire control line are to be extinguished, burnt around or felled. During mop-up, Bulldozers can clear obstacles to provide temporary access to slip-ons and tankers. They can quickly uproot stumps, push trees, roll large logs and break up burning heaps of debris. The blade is used lightly to avoid heaping soil, and ground disturbance is kept to a minimum. In summary, machines can assist mop-up by creating temporary access, breaking open material and moving large material quickly. Extinguish all burning material within 20 metres of the fire control line. Burning trees near the fire control line must be extinguished, pushed or burnt around. Thorough mop-up will control the fire quicker and prevent escapes. Planning before, during and after fire events minimises the environmental disturbance caused by machines. Potential environmental impacts include soil erosion, the introduction of weeds, damage to standing trees, spread of soil diseases, damage to swamps, wet ground and other sensitive areas such as water catchments. Some areas may also have landscape, native title, cultural or heritage values. Fire control lines may become compacted, leading to increased runoff. This leads to soil erosion, damaging the control line and increasing siltation and turbidity. Providing adequate drainage along the control line on the lower side of the terrain to disperse the water into the forest reduces soil erosion. When the area no longer needs patrolling, temporary tracks and fire control lines should be breached and barred to prevent erosion. Other authorised actions to enable the environment to recover are ripping compacted areas and placing barriers to prevent access. This should be done before significant rain occurs. Consider the environmental factors as well as the immediate fire objectives when you are constructing fire control lines. In conclusion, bulldozers and other heavy machinery are a valuable part of the fire control armoury. The operator plays a vital role in the fire effort. To carry out this role safely and effectively, the operator must clearly understand the chain of command, who to report to, the control strategy and their task at the fire. Construction standards of the fire control line. Mopping up techniques to prevent smouldering material causing a flare-up at a later date. Environmental factors are important and must be considered when constructing fire control lines. At any fire, large or small, the highest priority is your safety and the safety of others in constructing the line in the bush.